What's up, A20WHORES? This is your favorite HBHOES, Sam and Maddie. Say hello, Sam.
Hi.
We are back today, obviously looking crazy with our flower crowns, because we're talking about Midsommar, directed by Ari Aster, and it's an A24 film for our little mini series that we're doing. How was your flower crown? How was that process for you?
It was a learning curve. Used a hot glue gun for the first time, but it was fun. It came out fucking dope. I love it. There's so much
Gorgeous.
detail. Yeah, I'm here for it. I will wear it often. Although I think I have to put something right here because it's getting a little bit itchy on my forehead.
Oh no. Oh
And there
no.
might be like a flower that falls off like mid pod. So
That's fine. That's fine. One out of a billion? That's
yeah,
like
no,
1%.
I have so many left over.
I,
Look it, I made
I
a
know.
flower bed behind me.
I saw that was very cute of you.
Yeah, so I think next project I'm gonna make
The bib.
the bib cloak that she
Yes.
wears. Yeah.
Yeah, so I also made a flower crown, but an odd shaped one because I was inspired. It's fucking weird, but it works. And I feel like the May Queen. We're
You
May
know,
Queens.
it really just reminds me of like Mexicana like fruit of like basket of fruit.
Hell yeah.
With
Like
the colors. It
cornucopia.
looks like bananas and apples. And I love that.
I love bananas and apples.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're back, everybody. We're doing this pod. We're talking about Midsommar because it's compelling. It's crazy. It makes you believe that old people throw themselves off cliffs, and this was a Nordic practice. It's a myth, and we'll get into that. But still, it was wild. So, to break it down a little bit, the plot of this movie is Florence Pugh, who's starring in it, and nobody else matters.
Yeah, literally.
But she goes through a traumatic event. Her sister is bipolar, kills herself and her parents, and Florence Pugh is dealing with that. She's also in a relationship that is kind of on its tail end, but then this happens, so they stay together.
Mhm.
And the guys, her boyfriend and his friends, they're in graduate school. That's correct.
Yeah, they're doing they're doing thesis papers, so they could be in 4 year. If it was
Something like that.
dissertations, it would be grad school. But yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's why they go on this trip to Sweden to experience Midsummer Festival. And, Florence goes along. And it turns out to be absolutely gorgeous, but also absolutely terrifying.
That was a great synopsis,
yeah.
Maddie.
Thanks.
Okay, just forewarning, I have a bunch of cardboard boxes that I haven't recycled yet next to me, and my cat's having a fucking field day. So if you hear ruckus, it's just him next to me. I should have dealt with this before we recorded. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. It's okay.
Yeah, this movie is fucking awesome. I remember I watched this before I watched Ari Aster's other really popular movie, Hereditary, and I made my sister, who will be joining us later, watch them both with me on FaceTime because I'm a bit of a little bitch sometimes when I play movies. And I had seen the trailer for Hereditary by the time I watched Midsommar, and I thought that it was going to be really similar, and it's actually totally different.
No.
And yeah, so I'm like, I realized that darkness in movies scares me because this movie wasn't scary at all to me. And I'm happy with it because it was beautiful. And
it was.
yeah, and I love green hills. Oh god.
Same. Oh, ready for the pod.
Yeah, jeez, he's talking. God, I love the everything, just the scenery of all of it was gorgeous. It's like my dream place when I want to try to fall asleep. That's what I picture, is like fields of green and flowers like that. So
I agree.
Yeah, so yes, it was amazing.
Yeah, I cried a bunch the first time I saw it. I just thought it was very powerful. It was very beautiful. Florence Pugh really did a great job acting. Like, wow, amazing. I felt her emotions as if it was happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really enjoyed the whole thing, and it's crazy because I do not like scary movies. I am not into it. I'm also a little baby bitch.
I got
Like, I don't want to deal with the demons at night.
It's
I
all right.
don't want to deal.
I don't want to cut you off, but just on the topic of this series, we are doing the movie X, which is a tried and true horror film. And Maddie has not seen it yet, so that's gonna be an
Yeah.
interesting watch
I
for
hope it's not a slanderous pod for me because I might be like, fuck this, and why did you make me do this movie? I might be all bad things to say. Who knows? You'll have to listen to find out. Yeah, so I guess like let's talk about some of the big stuff. I mean, this movie is not that new. When did it come out? 2019?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like a lot of people have seen it. I'm sure a bunch of people have analyzed it and looked into it, but we just wanted to bring it up because it was really good and it was there's good things and there's bad things. There's some highs and some lows. I have some qualms. And the first thing I'll say is, which we talked about, is the beginning and the end of this movie are like two different movies.
Mm-hmm.
I get that they needed the launching pad for Danny's trauma, but it felt so weird. Like by the end of it, I was like, oh shit, like why did the beginning even happen?
Yeah. I agree. I think that it was like two different movies. The beginning of this movie was very much what you think of when you think of Ari Aster and his writing, but the end of I get it, and I'm okay with that it started that way because it gave us like the clear introduction to not only Danny and her like suffering, but also the relationship between her and what's his name? Don't even know his name. Don't care.
The boyfriend.
Yes, the boyfriend.
Yeah.
But what I didn't get is normally what we see in movies is like the direct, like what happens directly affects something, like an outcome. And I just didn't. The question that I wrote down a few times last night was like, why did why did the details of her sister and her parents' death matter at all to the story? Like, it didn't really have anything to do with the plot. It didn't really have anything to do with like even the way that they died. It was all so specific that you think that it's going to relate to something at the end of it, and it's going to be an aha moment. And it didn't. For me, it didn't really relate to it. Her sister and her parents could have died in any way, and it would have had the same effect. So why this way? Like, why make it? So,
it could have
like,
been a car accident.
Yeah, exactly.
It could have been like. I think maybe the depiction too was kind of gruesome. So I'm like, oh, like it could have like been something more normal, like, or sorry, more probable.
Yeah.
Well, like,
yeah, and like I said, it's like that was a very Ari Aster thing. So like maybe it was just like, oh, the rest of Midsommar is nothing like what I've done before, and whatever. Let me put my touch on it where I can.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Have you seen Hereditary?
No, girl, I'm scared.
The beginning scenes should have been they were basically the same fucking film as Hereditary. Like it fit right in.
Oh, well, now I'm really not gonna watch. Fuck.
Yeah.
So besides that, I mean, I think I had some other like loophole things that I was like, oh, like what happened? But we'll get into those later. Let's talk about what happens, like some of the big scenes. I think the first one is like when besides the death of her fucking parents and sister, that's the first thing. But like, I think the second big thing that we see is them getting there to Sweden, to Midsummer Festival, to, oh my gosh, I always have a hard time saying this. It's a weird place that they go. It's like Hallowsgard. I don't think that's it. That's definitely not it. I should have written it down.
Yeah.
But the place that they go, I think it's Harga or something. I don't even know.
It's called Hargas.
Okay, well, it's like Hargas.
There's a lot of new words that we learned from this movie. So
there was a lot of new things that we learned, and I did write down Achen Stupa, and that one I can say. So, I did my best, guys. That's one thing I forgot. Yeah, but they go there and Florence Pugh, Danny, her character, is like, she's fucking shaken up. She is not okay. She should not be on this trip. I get why she kind of wanted to do it. Like, let me just get away. But I'm also like, you should not have done that. So, and of course, first thing they do is land and they're like, let's fucking trip balls. Let's trip balls.
Number one, yes. Sorry, you might have just seen me. I had to throw a pen at my cat. So if you're watching this on video, just to give some context, he was eating one of the flowers. That's over there. Yes, Let's Trip Balls was crazy, but like honestly, who I would say no on day one because the jet lag and the fact that the sun isn't setting is insanity. Why would you trip in those circumstances? But I would absolutely trip with them on day two.
On day two. Yes, 100%. I'm glad that you brought that up. One question that I also didn't look up and I have is that one day that they got there and it didn't say, is that just for one day? Is it like a special day of the year?
Well, I'm not sure because we don't really, we see nighttime scenes.
Yeah, there is some darkness in the later days that come. So that's what I'm saying. Is it like, it's like
I think it might just be because there's some areas of the world where like for 3 straight months it's sunlight.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I know that.
Like that. So, but Sweden, I think it might just be maybe like a couple days, one day. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. That's something that we'll have to find out. Someone email us. Let us know. Send us a Reddit thread.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, Danny doesn't want to do it because she's like, yeah, I just fucking landed. But then she does because she's a fucking people pleaser. And she's like, I don't want to ruin anyone's good time, even though I am fucking suffering. So she does. And it's the first beautiful scene when they're all just sitting. And the one kid is like, everybody lay down. It feels great. Just lay down.
Yeah, I just want to say overall, I'm very happy that kid was casted and he had the lines that he did because it provided a lot of comedic relief at moments. I agree. Like just his constant standing in the background and vaping and like,
oh my God, big clouds.
Yeah.
Big fucking cloud boy. Every time it would like scare me because I'm like, why is there smoke in this beautiful ass place? Oh, you're vaping.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm always vaping. I'd be vaping on the pod. I don't even know if that's legal, but
I think it is.
Here we are.
I think so. I've seen people like hit their jewels on pods.
Well, we're gonna find out.
Yes, we'll see. Yeah, so he was very, very funny. And that scene where he's asking everybody to lay down, it's hilarious.
Yeah, and I love that scene because it's the first time she looks down and like the grass is growing out of her hands. Obviously, they're tripping, and I don't condone this to anybody, but I did like the visualization of it a lot because I have spoken to lots of people that have tripped, and they have explained really beautiful experiences to me in that way where I'm like when I saw that, I was like, wow, all those stories from people that have told me things, I'm like, that does make a lot of sense now that it could be visualized that way on screen. So yeah, I thought it was really beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I think, God, everything in this movie was beautiful. Even like the death was somehow beautiful, but, yeah, that was like the burst fig thing. I was about to say first big thing that they do when they get there, and then they just trip in this empty field, and then they all sober up, and then they hike like 4 fucking miles to where they're actually going. But this was one of my favorite scenes. This is where I really was like, the first time I watched it, I was like, whoa, this is a movie. I love this. Is when they like open like the pearly gates to heaven. It feels like
I loved the trail because it was all flowery. I was like, this is gorgeous.
Yeah. It made me want to visit. And I think that most of the movie was actually shot in Hungary, but that's not far from Sweden at all. So it's still the same climate, same like foliage, same vibe.
Who would have
So
thought?
yeah, so I'm just like, it just made me want to go there. Because like even
You know
last
what?
night too, I was like, I wonder what those flowers are that are growing on the
I
trail.
think
I've never seen them.
this movie did that to a lot of people, and I think it's really interesting to see it affect people like that have seen it and want to go, because I do think that there was an undertone of tourism in this, and I read about it a little bit online too, that like agreed, like exchange students coming to, like foreigners coming to experience this very small private thing. And it's like, I don't know, I think what I read online was like, you think you're coming for enlightenment, but you're really just self-absorbed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, mind blowing and interesting. Not mind blowing, but I thought it was interesting. I was like, wow, okay, yeah, that does speak to something.
Hmm.
I don't know what, but
Yeah.
very
Yeah, no, I
interesting.
think, and I do think that like when movies like this come out that are so because there was like hardly any CGI in this at all. So like everything was as natural as could be. And that was,
Oh my God, that makes me love it even more.
I know. So then when people see something like that, they always, I get it, like some part of the population that ends up going there after is
Yeah.
actually there because they're looking to experience it and dive into the culture and everything. But then a lot of,
Mhm.
then you have like the influencers that are like, oh, I just want to go take a picture where fucking this guy died. You
Yeah,
know,
and piss on a sacred tree,
I know.
for crying out loud.
Exactly, exactly. And it's interesting because even just talking about that, the difference between everybody that was in this group, the boyfriend, it's hard to tell what he would have been like throughout because he got the love spell on him, so that changed his whole like demeanor. And then they kept like forcing him drinks, and that
I
were
mean,
making
no
him trip
forcing
out
everyone drugs.
basically. But you had like the funny guy that just like didn't really give a shit about anything, like was just
Mhm.
here for like a fun time and a good time, not a long
Yeah.
time. And then you
Yeah,
had
yeah, for sure.
the one guy that was writing his thesis on it who was just absorbing all the information without actually respecting it. And
Mhm.
then the one person that actually like really was soaking it in from the very beginning was Danny. Um
Well, and also their other friend that was doing a thesis on it that did take it seriously. Like he was going there not for a good
that's
time,
what
but
I
for a
meant. No, that's
thesis.
what I meant. He was the one
Oh,
that wasn't really showing any respect to the culture. He was just like, let me write down everything I can and take pictures
yeah.
where I shouldn't and go sneak into places and read fucking
Yes.
books that I shouldn't be. Like he had no actual respect for their traditions. He was
Mhm.
just
I
there to get a
agree.
paper, right? If so, the only person that came in like fully like embracing everything that they were doing, the language, the all of it, like you could just see on Danny's face, like from the very beginning, she was enamored by it, even by the death. Like
Yeah,
she,
she was very receptive for
mhm,
sure.
yeah,
Yes, I agree. I think that there were some blockages from other people. I also do think that it's funny, and we talked about this a little bit too, just kind of like the only person who survived is like someone who fit in racially.
well,
Like
not really. You have two other white dudes in the group, so
right, but
what
they
do you mean?
died still. I'm just saying, like, the only survivor is someone who did fit in racially. And I was like, oh, like, that's interesting. Like, yes, they talk about diversity and shit for, like, the bloodlines, but if you look a certain way,
Well,
you
yeah, I
know,
don't know, but the other person that recruited people, they were two brown people too. So like, I don't know. I just think that like there's a 3 out of 4 chance that it was a white person that was going to live if only one person lived. So like, I don't know if that, I don't know, but
again, something that I was reading, I was like, oh
mhm.
shit, like, very interesting, yeah, I don't know if it was purposeful, if it was, isn't. What is Ari Aster? Do we know his ethnicity?
Yeah, he's
So I
white.
wonder. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe there's some intentionality there, but still very interesting. I was like, oh yeah, like look at
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
But you're right. I do think like she was the most receptive of everything in like a genuine way. She didn't seem disingenuine. Like, even when the women, I think, like, later in the movie, they call her into the cabin to, like, help make the pies. And not, like, in a forceful way. She's just like, oh, do you want to come in? And, like, I think Danny is really polite to a fault. So, like, not only is she interested, but she's like, yeah, like, I'll say yes because I'm here and these people are being good to me. Like, they're giving me this experience. Like, I may as well help out. It's something that we're all going to eat later, you know, whatever. And they're all, like, so kind. Just, oh my God, help us. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
We're going to make flower crowns. We're going to cook little pies.
Yeah.
We're going to put little pubes in them. We're going to make these men fall in love, honey. Like, I don't know. Just the feminine urge is strong in this movie, and I love it. Yeah. I'm swept up in it. I'm like, look at all these ladies just being ladies.
I know. There is, like, you can make so many feminine urge memes from this movie alone because, like, the feminine urge to, like, burn your ex-boyfriend alive after finding out he cheated on you, like, the feminine urge to just scream with other women about absolutely nothing. Period. Like, the feminine urge to make fucking flower crowns and just run around. You know, I don't know.
The feminine urge to dance for 8 hours straight.
Yes. Seriously.
In the sunlight. Ugh. Yeah. So they get this bitch. Man, she was really living such a good life. Like, I love this movie. I have many qualms about it, but I really truly love this movie. It was so good through and through. What else happened in this movie? So many other things.
Oh God. So we literally have only talked about the tripping, like, and we're 21 minutes into this. So much to go through. I want to talk about can we talk about the first death scene, that ceremony?
Oh, the Aten ceremony.
Yeah, where the 72-year-olds die.
Yes, absolutely.
So actually, like, on that note, because 72 is it feels like such a random age, but what Maddie and I were able to figure out, well, actually, we didn't really figure it out. Pele says it at some point, and we just wrote it down, but basically, it's like the life cycles are connected to the seasonalities, like the life cycles that they think of with their people. So from 0 to 18 is, what is that, spring?
Yes, and you're a child.
Yeah, and you're a child. 18 to 36 is summer. 36 and
to procreating.
Yeah,
working, I think.
What is
it? 36 to 54 is working age.
Yeah, and then 54 to 72 is
your mentor.
Yeah. And then your life cycle stops at 72, and they believe in the idea of, like, recycled life, recycled souls. So Pele explains that and then all of those things are 18-year cycles, right? So, so Pele explains that, I believe it's it's right before they see the death. And then, because Danny says what happens when they turn 72, and he just goes like that, he does the, like, slitter crosses, but, like, he thinks he's joking and he's not. And it's so funny because he's so laxed when he's explaining all
nonchalant.
So nonchalant. And it's like as if, like, they don't bring people there, like, to visit all the time, and they don't see their reactions when they do these ceremonies all the time. It's like you would think that you would have more, like, bedside manner almost, like, with what you're bringing. Like,
again, a question that we need answered is, do they do this every year, every 18 years? Because I do think that, they mentioned in the beginning that it is a 90-year ceremony, but, oh wait, didn't you say that Ari Aster answered this and it's like the bear thing? It's like certain aspects.
The very end of it with the burning. Yes.
Okay.
90 years. But the what is the word?
Aten Stupa.
that happens every year because they don't, obviously not all the people are the same age.
Yeah,
So they would have
correct.
to. It's whenever like anybody turns 72, that's their year to die. And they do that at the Midsummer Festival every
I
year.
bet that there are some years that there are people in their community that are just not 72.
I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would say like sometimes it's every year. Sometimes they might have a couple years off, like just because of like timing and age. So yeah, it's number one, fucking jarring. And my first time watching it, I was expecting it because immediately when they said Aten Stupa, I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Beep-a-doop, boop-a-doop, went into Google, and I was like, oh shit. So I ruined it for myself. But that was fine because it was still jarring.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that the grandmother, she jumped like a pro.
Yeah.
Instant death. Loved it. I mean, I didn't love it, but I loved her form for what she was doing because I was like, yeah,
an Olympic scuba diver, or not scuba diver, but like diver. Like she just
yes,
exist off that thing, off that rock.
Titanic, baby, just
like the
out of
Ray
there.
Euro fucking, you know, I don't know. Yeah, so she did it. The guy fucking. So that was the first like, oh my god, holy fucking shit, they just did that.
Right.
I kind of expected it too because the whole thing feels like a funeral. We talked about that. They had like
Yeah,
their
the
own little
music
pallbearers, you know.
Mhm.
And they had like the last dinner or the last meal before, so like it all felt very funeral like. But yeah, it was crazy. Just the way that she jumped off was like, holy shit. And then the guy, the fucking old man, doesn't do it right.
Right.
And then they have to go and fucking, yeah.
Right. So the reason I brought this up is because I immediately, because I knew what was going to happen, I was like, I hope they don't drag this out and make them jump wrong. I was immediately, before either one of them jumped, I was like, somebody's going to jump wrong and they're not going to die. And I don't want to see this. And of course, it's the old fucking guy. So just brutal, bro. And of course, he's like moaning. And this is, I think, the first time we see the empathy scene where like they are like moaning in pain with him, which I appreciated. And we'll talk more about the empathy scenes as we go on because there's some really ones that I like loved and there's some other ones that I did not love. But this one I did like because I was like, oh yeah, like they know what pain feels like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they definitely know what pain feels like, and I would imagine some of them know what broken bones feel like. So like you could really not only empathize but sympathize in this moment with this man. And like there's just something about that therapy. I'm like, group moaning in pain therapy sounds great. It sounds cathartic. So it's polarizing and it's interesting. But yeah, so they have to kill him. And how they do
that was my fucking mallet, like, and
a big one, like a jumbo mallet.
Yeah, so that was the second like jarring thing because I was like, oh shit, he didn't die. What do they do now? You know, like because I felt like maybe in some, you know, it could, if we're talking about like spirituality, like if this is the kind of like community that believes that like if they didn't die on this suicide, then they shouldn't die, like they're not meant to. You know, so I thought that they might try to like revive him, and then nope, fucking Malik dead. Like,
yeah, and each person, there's like 3 or 4 of them that go up. They all each have to do it because it's kind of like, you know, this is horrible, but it made me think about like when you like, what did they used to do? I don't even know who did this, but like you shoot one person, but it's like 10 people that do it. So like you don't know, like you don't have to feel like shame or guilt. Like that's kind of like what that reminded me of. And just like that, also, I think, I don't know if his name is Pele. I thought that's how she said it in the beginning, and I think his friends called him Pel. So I'm confused, and I'm gonna call him Pele.
I don't know. I think it's Pel.
Okay, well, Pele, whoever you are, he, I think, this, you know what? Never mind. I think I just answered my own thing in my head. It's fine. Anyways, I loved the empathy, but it was fucking jarring to watch. I did not love that scene. It was oh, sorry, Pele. I think he describes it that like they do everything together, and I think that like he means like we're one. We are one.
Yeah.
Like hive mind.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, no, I think it's really interesting. The first time that I think I noticed it, or like the part where, just on the topic of empathy, just gonna quickly, we're gonna talk about this scene a lot, but just gonna throw it in that it's when what was it that just gave me Handmaid's Tale? And it was, I don't know, it wasn't like a woman in labor or anything, but it might have been when just the sex scene.
Yeah, when they're all screaming together afterwards when she sees it and they like come and get her and they're all like
Yeah. But like
yeah.
that specifically doesn't give me Handmaid's Tale, but Handmaid's Tale, there's when, first of all, they have the ceremony, which is when the handmaids and the dudes fuck. But then whenever the handmaids get pregnant and they're actually in labor, all the other handmaids come and like help her and, you know, help her breathe and stuff like that, and breathe with her. But then the wives that aren't actually having a baby, they all do the same thing, and then the other wives come out, and it's just this very like fake, weird, like disturbing kind of thing. So the first time that I watched it, I got that, and I was like, I don't like this at all. But like, I do, thinking about it, I do like the idea of empathy, and like, because it's easier to deal with grief or with pain when you're dealing with it in a community, you know.
Yeah.
Like, so,
Yeah.
and it's almost like, it's like trauma bonding, you know, almost. So I like it.
I like
Yeah.
it. I really liked that scene. And, you know, I've seen a bit of Handmaid's Tale, but not all of it. But I did know about that scene in particular where, like, when they're pregnant and they, like, share this experience, even with the wives of, like, because I guess, like, I don't know, they can't have babies, but the
wives are
handmaidens
barren.
can.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So, I did kind of get that too, but I still enjoyed it. Was like, I think because maybe the sex was involved with the guy and she's just dealing with the aftermath of it, like the sisterhood of it all, I was just very here for it. I was like, yeah, and the first time I watched this movie, I cried a bunch of different times, and that moved me. I was like, oh, look at these women being like, you know what? Fuck that guy. Don't even, we're gonna cry. Fuck that guy. Like, I loved it. I don't know. Maybe I need therapy for this, but like, it felt cool and weirdly cool, but cool nonetheless. I was like, look at these bitches.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. Like, and I think it's a really interesting way to think about like how communities deal with grief, and like what's weird about it is that it's taboo because it's culty, right? But like when you actually like pick apart all of these ideas and traditions that they have, they make sense. Some of them make a lot of sense, you know? So, and I think that that's one of the coolest things just like overall about this movie is like, the more we're talking about the life cycles of people matching the seasons and them dying at 72, and you know, we understand that like with a smaller community that you have to farm and grow everything that you eat, you're so rural, you know, you probably can't afford to have a bunch of old people that aren't contributing but that you're still using resources on. So it's like when you like put yourself into a situation like thinking like that, it's like, I understand why they do all of this stuff. You know, it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of logic behind all of this. And again, I'm really glad that you brought this up. What Ari Aster did in the tethering some of this to like reality, like some real traditions. Obviously, this is Hollywood, and you know, looking it up, I mentioned it in the beginning, but Aten Stupa is a myth. It was folklore, Nordic folklore. I mean, maybe it's possible that it happens, but it hasn't been proven. And I think I did read online that like most professionals are like, this most likely did not happen. You know, I get it. and it does make sense, but we're still human beings at the end of the day. Yes, human beings can be fucking terrible. We know that, but they can also be super compassionate. And I just feel like 72 is old in some, but it's really young in others.
That's true.
You know, like I know, my mom is older than 72 and she is young. I would not be cool. Like, in a logical way, I'm like, oh yeah, I could get on board with this. And then I'd be like, okay, my mom would have already been done.
Circumstantially, yeah, it's different.
Like, I can't imagine. And the thing is, like, it's not like she can't help herself still. You know what I mean? So, like, it does come down to, like, the morality, especially, you're right, like, looking at it for your own circumstances. But, Ari Aster just did it so well, tethering it to reality. He did so well.
Yeah.
And I love that because I looked up so much. I think that's, this is why we have this podcast. Because when you're watching something and you're like, oh, fuck, I got to pause and look this up and Google this. Is this real? Like, I was immediately pulled. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Where the fuck does this happen? These fucking Vikings, like, savage.
Yeah.
Like, we knew that they were savage, but also I didn't know that they were like, fuck these old people. I know that old people can be annoying, but like, I'm not throwing them off cliffs. I'm not making them throw themselves off cliffs. Although, again, we are talking about something that is cultural, and that's, I think they even discuss it in the movie, like, oh, like, yeah, it's something that we're not okay with. But we stick our people in old folks' homes. They probably think that's appalling.
Yeah, which is true.
Yeah, and it is.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that, like, yeah, circumstantially, obviously, but like to protect the integrity of the tradition, you have to. You can't not. You can't let one slide.
Of course, and to protect the integrity of your people who are living and who are having these lives and your resources, like, in a very, like, we are trying to survive way, because we only have so much. And, like, if you're sick and in bed, like, we don't have these extra resources, because, like, a child who is well is going to suffer.
Yeah. Yep.
By the way, I did also read online, you're right, they do transfer their names to new babies being born. So it is like not a reincarnation, but like they do get names of the people who have died. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting. I think just like the cycle of life and the cyclicalness of the 4 seasons and how they live, like, a seed, it grows, it dies, it has more seeds, and it grows and it dies, and it continues.
Yeah, for sure. Do we want to keep talking through, like, scene by scene? Because I'm gonna have Jenna come on in a few here. So is there anything that you wanted to talk about before she jumps in? Or, like, do you still do?
I think we talked about the chronology of the seasons. By the way, if anyone can answer this, because it's a question that we did have, is the 5th season, right? Like, we think that the ceremony, well, never mind. The ceremony probably happens every couple years, but when they bring new people in, it's probably every 18. Or is it every 90? Because they need that 5th season for the kids to grow up to turn 18 to be able to procreate.
Yeah, so these are where all the questions are that we were trying to figure out. I don't know. It seems like with how comfortable Pell and his friend were bringing, like, recruits, meaning, like, I'd feel like it might be something that happens every year. I know that Pell had said that he had pictures in his phone of the May Queen from the previous year, so that they do every single year. Now, when it comes to, like, bringing people in or any of that, I'm not sure.
Okay, and the last thing that I just want to mention, again, with the empathy scene, obviously I loved the fucking bitches moaning together and just comforting fucking Danny. But one scene that I did not appreciate was the end, when they burned everyone and they were all acting crazy, because, like, I liked all the other scenes because I was like, oh, this is probably something that you've experienced. But all these alive people that are, like, screaming, that none of them know what death is or what that feels like. And to see them trying to empathize with that. Like, it was so off-putting, which in a cinema way, I loved it. I was like, ooh, make me feel weird. Make me feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
It was so off-putting, but in the best way.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I was like, oh, yeah, maybe that's why, because they don't actually know what death is. Maybe that's why this is so weird.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think that a lot of the things that they did were like over the top. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay, Jenna just joined.
The crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, speaking of, hold on, I'm gonna take mine off for a sec because it's itching the fuck out of my forehead. So,
all right, well, we're gonna continue with fucking Frida Kahlo and this bitch.
Oh yeah, now Maddie's in the middle with her crown.
Hell yeah.
Oh well, welcome Jenna to the pod.
Hell yeah, welcome.
Hello.
So for those that haven't been introed to Jenna before, she's done a lot of the series pods with us. Most recent one was a White Lotus theories discussion. And she is the one that I made watch Midsommar with me for the first time that I watched it. So there's a special thing about this movie with us.
I watched it when it first came out, and when Sammy told me she had never seen it and she was scared to watch it, I was like, what do you mean you haven't seen this yet? What do you mean? That's so good.
Yeah.
And it's really not scary, which is cool for me.
Yeah.
The thing is it was never meant to be scary. It was meant to be unsettling. And
yes,
very
well,
much
it is.
did that.
It is. They definitely accomplished that. Yeah, I think that's why I avoided it for a long time too, because I knew it was in the horror category, and I was like, oh, I don't think I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
It's definitely along the lines of psychological horror and not horror that we know.
Which I really like. I like that style better, even if it is a little scary. It's just like jump scares are like, ugh, I'm just over them. Like I'm over like I don't like movies like Insidious and whatever. But like if it's got like a really good plot and like you can actually talk about it, like sign me up, you know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So Jenna, we're about 40 minutes in. We've talked about a couple of things. Mostly we went over the timeline of like their like seasonality timeline with the people and why they die at 72 and the like, so that their seasons.
Their season, their life is a season. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we've talked a little bit about just like their hive mind, like empathy, like the, you know, the group empathizing with, you know, whoever's suffering. And yeah, we've talked a little bit about a lot, but we haven't really gone like scene by scene. We talked about the tripping scene and we talked about the death scene, the first death scene, the actual, what is it called, Maddie?
Aten Stupa. I don't know. Sorry. I don't know why I put that accent on it, but yeah, Aten Stupa. That's what it is.
But I guess let's start with you with overall thoughts. What did you, well, we know that you like it, but like favorite scenes, qualms, you know.
I mean, overall, as like a movie itself, I really like movies that, and a lot of people disagree with me when it comes to this, but I really enjoy movies where you don't realize the little Easter eggs hidden around the film until you watch it maybe a second time. I know a lot of people don't like rewatching things to look for stuff, but that's probably my favorite thing about it is the symbolism throughout, especially in the beginning of the film, where it tells you the end of the film right in the beginning.
Yeah, right there.
Yes.
And I noticed like, that last night. Yeah,
same.
All the time, and you don't notice it at first because you're not focusing on that. Like one of the biggest things of symbolism, I guess like the biggest thing that I like is I like all the Easter eggs and stuff throughout everything. But one of my favorite things is when Dani is in her bed in the beginning and there's the portrait or the painting on the wall
the
of the
princess
bear.
and the bear.
And I'm like, that's the end of the movie. Or even just like in the way beginning, we see like a huge timeline That's
Yes.
essentially the
Yes.
whole timeline of the film. So
Yes.
it's just like, oh, it's just all this artwork and it's all this, you know, just stuff. And
Yeah,
it's not
I-
stuff.
it's actually, yeah, it's purposeful and intentional. I
Yes.
didn't notice either of those things until yesterday when I watched it again. So yeah,
Same.
agree.
Yeah, another thing is, and I've gone through so much of Midsommar stuff because I love this movie so much. Another thing is, when the scene where they show the parents in bed, there's the picture of Danny next to the bed with the flower crown on the frame.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. So they have a picture of her right next to the bed. It has a ring of flowers like on it. So it's like, all right, we know again that she's gonna be the maid, the maid queen at the end. Other thing is scarecrows. They're in her room. She has a doll that's a scarecrow, and also the scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz is like in the kitchen, I believe, and it's a call to how the bodies are stuffed later on with straw, like scarecrows.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like stuff like that. I'm just like, God, it's so smart. It's so freaking smart, and I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that was such a good point, and like it's such a good point because me and Sam both had that experience watching it the second time around. So many things I did not see before I saw, and there's still a lot of things that I probably missed. I would love to rewatch this and go frame by frame because I also did a little research. The artist who did the bear and princess painting, it wasn't exactly for the movie, but the way that they connected it is like that the end is going to have a girl, a crown, and a bear. And I was like, oh,
John Bauer is the artist, and he's
from
Sweden.
You.
Yeah, he's from Sweden, and a lot of his paintings are of different Swedish folklore. So that is from,
very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, John Bauer. What up? Shout out. Love that fucking guy. I'm going to look him up immediately, like the rest of his work, because it is really beautiful too. It's kind of watercolory in a way. I don't know.
I'm not exactly sure what he is, not labeled.
I don't think it is watercolor. It just looks like it.
Like artistic, like what his style actually is listed or categorized under. I'm not entirely sure. I just know that a lot of the Scandinavian and Swedish and all that folklore stuff, that's like what he focuses on for his.
Hell yeah. What about you, Sam? Did you have any like one thing that just stood out to you? You're like, this fucking did it for me.
I mean, we've already talked about two of them. The like pearly gate scene where all of them look like angels. I would immediately be a part of that cult. Immediately on site,
yeah.
I'm like, I want to live here for the rest of my life, and milk cows with you and frolic amongst the daisies. Like, just it was beautiful. And then that first death scene, the mallet to the old guy's head. I was like, okay, this is going to be a lot more interesting because, like, even opening it up, it was very Hereditary, and I was like, okay, I know what kind of movie this is going to be. And then going to this like beautiful, serene place I was like, wait, I don't know what kind of movie this is going to be. Like, what the hell is this? And then, but like them being there and the acid trip thing being before or the mushroom trip, I should say, being before they actually got to the town, I was like, what? Like, it just felt slow, and like, it kind of felt like, why are they doing this right now? Why would they why would they trip out before they even get to where they're going? Like, it just felt really like that scene didn't need to be there. But then as soon as the movie started after that, it was like when they actually get to the town, that's where I was like sold, because I was like, okay, this is going to be really cool and interesting and beautiful. And look at all these little people, and then the redhead with her whole like love thing with the boyfriend. I was just immediately into that.
I also was. And I will say another thing kind of related to Easter eggs, but just like, again, based in that like reality, tethered to reality that they did so well. I did love the use of like runes in this. God, I remember when I first saw it and she put the P down, I was like, oh, I recognize that rune. Like, I know that fucking rune. And I think it means like joy, pleasure, something else. And I looked it up in the moment because I was like, I can't remember exactly to confirm it. And I felt so proud. I was like, I can't believe I know this random ass rune. But I knew she was trying to put a love spell on him immediately because I was like, oh, she put it under his pillow.
Yeah.
This bitch.
Yeah, it's the same with Christian later on, like when they get their outfits, like their traditional outfits. Christian's has the death symbol.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah.
Wait,
the other
I don't know any of their names. I just know
Christian
Danny.
is the boyfriend.
The boyfriend.
Yeah.
The bear.
The bear.
The bear.
The bear.
Yeah, the only other rune that I picked up on, because it was not that subliminal, but when they put their bloody hands on the stone before they do the A20WHORES ritual and like throw themselves overboard, there's an R, it's Rideho, which means like journey, process, you know, that kind of thing.
The formation that they have their tables in the beginning. It's the R as well. Like they have it set up a couple different ways where it's just like a straight line when they're sitting and eating, but then there's the big one where everybody's sitting and it's the shape of that R.
Oh, I love that. I can't wait to watch this again already. That's so cool. I didn't see that. Like the Easter eggs are great.
I know, and I'm happy that they used runes specifically, like if they were going to do any sort of like occult magic in this, because runes are from Scandinavia, like that's where they originated, their like magic originated from. So like a lot of times in movies, like people won't do their research and they'll almost appropriate like a culture or something like that that's not from where they're doing it, but runes are from this area, so it makes it make all the more sense too.
Yeah. I, again, tethered to reality. Like, I just think that the director did it so well. Like, he picked real things and then, put a little Hollywood spice on it. And that makes such a good film.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
smart.
It was probably so fun. Like, it must be so fun to like do films like this and like just be able to like research everything about like even just like the A20WHORES. Okay, I said it right. Even just like that being a myth, but like looking that up, researching all of it, the folklore and everything, and then being able to like tie it into a movie, and then it's like it must be really cool. It was probably really fucking fun to do this movie.
Yeah, I think I read that he hired like someone who knows runes really well, like a professional, to help him with the movie. I was like, oh, look at you. That's cool. Yeah.
Okay, Maddie, what was it that sold you on this movie?
The fucking empathy, baby. I'm a Pisces queen. I was like, I want to feel what you're feeling and not even understand, because fuck it. Especially when all the women were together. The sex scene was kind of weird, obviously. I was like, why are all these old women like touching their boobs and fucking moaning and then like looking deeply into his eyes? I think that's where it kind of got weird. I was like, don't touch them. Like, you can be there. We discussed that. But
I said the same thing. I was like, I don't mind if you're watching, but when you're participating, it crosses a line. It just crosses the line.
Yeah, and I mean, like, they're not participating sexually.
No,
like, they're just like, egging it on, I guess, is like the best way I can put it. But immediately after it, is my favorite fucking scene when she sees that her boyfriend has just cheated on her, even though they were all tripping balls. She runs. And the little ladies, the way that they scurry like ants, she's like a crumb, and they like pick her up and they like float her away. And they all just like start screaming together. I don't know. Something about that is very powerful to me, and it made me cry. I was like, oh fuck, I need 7 to 13 women right now. I'll hire these hoes. Like, I would pay women to do this with.
Yeah, to just cry with me. Just come to my house. I feel like crying. Cry with me.
Yeah, if someone hasn't done the Midsommar women's retreat experience where like you do like do it now. Take my idea. I'll come. Like, oh my God. Yeah. So for me, it was very compelling. That was so compelling. I wonder, like, I do wonder about like what group scream therapy would be like. Like, I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I want to try.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love
that idea. We've talked about it that like it makes sense of why they do that, and like grieving in a group is easier. So yeah, I'm happy that you got that. Like I said, the first time that I watched it, I didn't like it at all. It just gave me, because it was so close to like the sex empathy and then the screaming empathy. Like it just felt like it just gave me Handmaid's Tale when they're in labor, and like so. Jenna, I already explained this, but yeah. Jenna's seen all of Handmaid's Tale too, so she knows exactly what I'm talking about and why that's like, it's just
well, and also just on that point, like I think there's, you know, like not to be cliche, but there's a fine line between pain and pleasure, and I think they played on that really well from that scene, you know, from sex to grieving. You know, I was like, oh, pain and pleasure, fine line.
Yeah. Another one of my favorite scenes was when they were doing the is it Mayday dance, the flagpole, and I wanted to bring this up because Maddie and I both did not do this in school, but
no.
But the whole time that as we're talking, I'm recalling back to the conversations that Sammy and I had the first time that I watched the movie with her, and yeah, there was this realization that I'm apparently like one of the few, because everybody that I talk to about this has no fucking idea what I'm talking about. But yeah,
you're fucking May Queen.
I was not a May Queen. No.
The fact that you participated makes you a May Queen.
So I don't know. Like, yeah, anybody that I talk to about this has no idea. They're like, were you okay as a child? Like, what happened? Like, I'm like, no, this is something that we did in school. We did.
Crazy.
It wasn't like a parade. It was this spring celebrations on May Day, and we had these poles that were outside, and they had ribbons tied to them, and each kid we were in groups, essentially, because obviously like we had larger numbers of children than what was in this movie, like dancing in circles or whatever. But like the poles had different colors, and there had to be like 12 of them, and it was like white in a color. It was kind of like a rainbow or whatever. And I don't remember what color I had, but it was like, say I was like red and white. So it's like there has to be videos online. I should look this up. But basically it's guys and girls. Like it's, you know, it's not like just a female thing. And you tie the ribbons, you like dance around the pole and like weave in and out of each other, and it makes a braid going down the pole. And whoever can do it the fastest and then unravel it the fastest was like the winner or whatever.
Cool.
And I thought this was just like a normal thing that everybody did. I never questioned it.
I actually do think it's a normal thing, because I did look it up after Sam told me that you have done it, which I was shocked. I was like, holy fuck, Jenna, this cultured woman, like, holy fuck. I looked it up. It's actually pretty common. Like,
is it okay?
It's not like you know, again, the thing with this movie, they did it so well, fucking attaching it to like some real like traditions. It is a midsummer thing, but it's also like a spring thing, you know? And so like, yeah, it's pretty normal. I think the reason I didn't do it is because I was in South fucking Florida, you know?
I was in Florida when this happened.
Really?
Yeah,
what?
Yeah, that's why I was surprised when you didn't do it, Maddie, because I was the only one out of the three of us that went to elementary school in a different state.
Right, exactly. And Jenna and I are so close in age, so I'm like, what the fuck?
But you were in Fort Lauderdale though, so that might have been during what would have been this time. So
That's true.
it was a different area, but it was still South Florida. But yeah, we're thinking, and you guys are really close in age too. So
yeah.
Obviously, it's completely like learning about it now, because of course in school we were taught that it was, you know, spring and flowers and it's a new season, and you know, like just kind of like the very innocent parts of what the meaning, whereas obviously like in the movie it's fertility and you know, that kind of thing was like, you know, they're not, you know, talking about fertility with a bunch of, you know, 9-year-olds but dancing around a pole.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
like this is what you're gonna have to do. Fuck.
So yeah, but that was one of my favorite scenes in it, and I wanted to make sure that I mentioned it because of Jenna's experience actually doing it. But yeah.
I would actually like to do this now that you make a fucking braid. I didn't even know that. Like this must be so aesthetically beautiful. 10 poles, 100 kids running all at the same time, making beautiful braids, and then it probably is visually stunning. It's
because it's like a dozen or so different ribbons that come off. So like, the way just weaving constantly like up and over, like over and under, like constantly, it makes like a really cool braid.
Yeah, I bet if someone did an aerial shot of that, it would look super fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just from above, bird's eye, baby. Yeah, I'm interested. I want to run around a pole and make a braid. Let's fucking do this. It was great though. Also, I did love that scene because of who you are as a person. I'm like, Sam would win this.
Yeah,
you're a little dancing baby, and you're competitive.
Oh my god, that's what. Yeah, we were saying that last night. I was like, I don't care if I would crawl around that pole just to make sure that. I mean, I know you can't. It's whoever is standing, but yeah, I would be so fucking competitive with it.
Hell yeah, you'd be knocking bitches over. Like, get out.
I would have to be in her state to dance around a pole like that.
Yeah.
I'd be because and it's give me some shroom tea, man. Let's go.
Well, yeah, it's like a total difference because in the very beginning, there's a part where they're actually in the town and they're all just like sitting on a towel or blanket or whatever, and Pell asks, like, some of the girls are dancing around and laughing or whatever, and Pell says to Danny, like, why don't you go join them? And Danny's like, oh no, I'm too scared for that. So from her from the very beginning to the end, you know, they've really sold her.
Yeah.
And I also liked that, like, she got to win in front of the boyfriend. And like just that look on his face was fucking awesome because like clearly he was like tripping out too and under like a love spell and like all this shit because honestly he had a rough go of it.
Oh my god, he got the shortest fucking straw. Okay, so let me just say this now. Can we just get into qualms? Yeah. Okay,
yeah, I've heard a few, I think.
Fucking the boyfriend. I mean, yeah, he's kind of a dick in some ways, but the only real dickish thing that he did was kind of steal the other guy's thesis idea. Yeah. But I'm like, dude, it's college. Like, get over yourself. You guys can have similar theses. Like, it's fine. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like he was such an innocent bystander. Not that he was innocent. I think that him and Danny were already kind of like on the outs with each other. Something really bad happens with her. I actually think he's a compassionate person who was like, I'm not going to leave this girl hanging while she's going through something really bad and doesn't have a lot of people to turn to.
I feel like a lot of people would do the same thing as him.
Correct. I think a lot of things that he did in this movie was actually out of compassion. And it made me really sad that this motherfucker was just like, you know what? Fuck this guy. Like, it felt like to me that Danny, like, projected all of her issues into this being instead of, like, actually dealing with it. Obviously, she's also fucked up. So, like, I was like, okay, like, you're tripping balls for, like, 9 days. You're not in the right state of mind.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. There was like some
Neither
build.
one of them are.
No, nobody was. The only one who was fucking Pell. God damn it, orchestrating this everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like that I think is my biggest qualm because I'm just like, yeah, I don't think that he deserved what he got.
Well, I mean, I think that that's what makes it compelling, though. You know, if he did deserve it, it would be less interesting.
That's
in my
true.
opinion. You know, I'm just like, it's the fact that like he was under a spell this whole time, and you know, these things, what he was a victim of that like made the whole thing even like more awful and great at the end of it too.
That's
you know,
true.
like simultaneously, like we loved watching it. But like
That's
when
true.
you think about it, you're like, that really sucks for him.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. That's the hive mind of the movie is it, you know, you being on the same side as, you know, technically the people who are wrong. But at the end when, you know, she smiles and she's like finally free of him, when very easily they could have just gone back home and been like, you know, we just need to break up. But you know, but at the end, like, you sympathize for her because you're like, yeah, she got what she wanted, but then you're like, wait, I shouldn't be feeling good about this. Like, I shouldn't be feeling like good for her.
Yeah.
So, but that's like the whole thing. That's the hive mind thing you guys were talking about, where, you know, they make you feel like family. They, you know, they grieve with you. They have these emotions with you. This closeness, you know. And going back to another conversation I remember having with Sammy, whether it was before or after the Mayday conversation, was she's like, I would join this cult.
Oh my
like,
god, same.
She's like, this is what, you know, what I would do. Like, I would be in it. And I was like, yeah, I wouldn't. Like,
oh my
her
god,
and I are completely opposite.
I would have
like,
definitely fallen.
do you want to go
for
join
it.
a cult so you could tell me how it is? Because I'll stay.
Oh
You
my
won't.
god.
Go
Dude,
and tell me how it is.
I feel the same way. This cult is, it's just so aesthetically gorgeous. I'm like, you already got me there.
I know.
And I do think that there is some logic, you know, like the seasons, like it does make sense in a way when you're like, okay, if old people can't help the community, then let's just fucking make it our law that we, like, you know, get rid of ourselves. I don't know.
So I wouldn't actually join this cult, but I would aspire to live a lot like them, I think. And like, just because like, there's no way these people are not happy. I mean, they have literally everything they need, and sunshine, and like everything is like when you think about like what makes a healthy lifestyle, like they're checking all the boxes, right? Like community, sunshine, like healthy, like eat, like everything is from the ground, it's like as holistic as it gets. And then you know, I don't know, so I'm like, that I would aspire, like, there's like that idea of it is like, this is beautiful, and this is how, like, it was just that's how I would like to live my life. But if it came to actually joining this cult, I wouldn't join it, because I don't like, if I was really that healthy, I don't think that I would be dying near 72, and I wouldn't want to die early. And I also wouldn't want to see all my favorite old people die, you know? And I also wouldn't want to have sex with a bunch of people around me, you know? So
it's also one of those things when you grow up in it and that's all you know,
then it's fine. Yeah.
How do you know any different?
Yeah,
right,
you know, that's
exactly.
You know, when you were you know, when you're taught that 72 is it, you know, and like they make it seem like you're almost going out on your own terms. You're going out happy. You're not going out being sick. You're not going out with, you know, being bedridden or anything like that. You're going out as a happy, healthy individual. So for us living the way that we do, they're like, no, we're happy and healthy. We want to keep living. To them, they're like, I'd rather go out happy and healthy. Yeah. And doing this for my community than not have this in place. Very good point. And then
right. And there is something so beautiful about that. There is something so beautiful about that. And like, again, yeah, like I probably wouldn't really join this cult, but like even that little tidbit you know, I'm like, yeah, maybe, like, theoretically, I'm like, yeah, I would be interested in this because I do think it makes such logical sense. I'm like, yeah, no one wants to go out. Like, you don't want to have the people that you love remember you even in like just like a harder light towards the end of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to remember you as healthy and happy and like satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that like that's what's compelling about this movie is that like, you're like, oh, like this actually does make some sense.
Yeah. Yeah, if you like just shift your perspective just a little bit. Like Maddie and I were talking about the 72 thing, and her mom is older than 72, so she's like and that like circumstance I don't agree with it, right? But I was like, okay, well, in order to like keep the integrity of a tradition, you have to keep doing it, and you can't let circumstances change or change your perspective on it. But like when you think about it like either in a bigger picture or a smaller picture, like the way that like your opinion changes. Like I fully understand why they live that way, and then the more and more we talk about it, the more I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like thinking about them not, you know, like, and even just things like Alzheimer's and things like that, like they don't really have to worry about that, right? Because they're kind of nipping it in the bud before it even gets to a point of like suffering. So
Yeah.
and then even the way that they do kill themselves is like a lack of suffering. They fall off onto a rock. I mean, the one dude kind of
Well,
fucked up,
unless you do it wrong.
yeah,
Unless you do it wrong.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then I guess
feet
like
first
them,
is just not the way to go, dude.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then I guess like them setting people on fire. There's a little bit of suffrage in that too, but for the most part, they
Even
live,
though
like,
there wasn't supposed to be.
yeah,
They made it seem like, here, have this sap. You won't feel a thing.
You won't feel a thing.
No, that didn't really work out either.
No. Yeah, poor Ingmar.
Or yeah, it was sap or some kind of something.
He's like, here, have a little bit of
Plants.
maple syrup. You'll be
Yeah.
fine.
You'll just go numb.
Do you
You'll
know
feel
how
a thing.
fucking mad
You're
I would be
screaming.
dying? And I'd be like, this man just gave me maple syrup. You should have fucking gave me a gallon of that goddamn shroom tea. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
oh my god,
Poor-
Well, the other thing is too is like, yeah, you don't want like suffering for it, but he also volunteered.
Oh, yeah.
He was like
Like-
one of the ones that volunteered. I'm like, you should know that, like, being so young, like, I'm sure living in this essential compound and in this community, you've seen your fair share of 72-year-olds go and
Sure.
sacrifices.
Sure.
Like, you should know that they're still suffering.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, God.
Yeah, so do we want to talk about favorite actual scenes? Because I think we did more of like I know yours, Maddie, and we know mine, but Jenna, did you say your favorite like scene?
It's really hard to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
Yeah, because when there's like so much symbolism going throughout the whole movie, it's hard to pick like one thing. So, and that's why like I like the general just symbolism of everything. I think a little bit further than just the actual like the dancing. I think one of my favorite scenes is probably when they are leading her, like after she's crowned.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another little Easter egg thing. And is that the actors that play her parents and her sister are actually in the crowd when they're leading her to be like the queen. So it's like, yeah.
I don't think I caught that.
Yeah, I caught that because I think she says it. She's like, Mom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they use the same actors, but the three of them are like with her as she's being like crowned and being this queen. So probably that, because I think it's them accepting that that they're with her because the whole point is to her, it was her going away on this trip, and because she had nothing left,
Yeah.
only to be crowned, and then she has her family with her, even though it's a drug induced whatever, but it's just the idea of like she's coming out on top and her family's still there.
Yeah, because like
To
even
her.
because even another just like key difference between like her from the ending to her in the beginning. In the beginning, it's when they're actually tripping and somebody says the word family, and she's actually having a decent trip and she's fine. And then when she hears the word family, that's when she goes and freaks out. So it's like even she was so sensitive to that in the beginning, and then to like have this kind of like enlightenment, and then also like the whole cult now, the whole community is now her family, you know, like, and she sees that with the empathy thing and the way that they live and how accepting they are. And she like truly needed that because she had nothing but like a shitty boyfriend back at home who didn't even want to be with her, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
So she gained a village.
She did gain a village.
Because that's the whole thing is that like that's the big part of it of like how you were saying, like technically he's not really that much of a dickhead.
No, and I think he was trying.
What makes him the dickhead and what makes us not like him is the fact that he came off as, because obviously their relationship was ending. We knew this even before her family died. But he came off as though her family's death was such an inconvenience to him.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him a dickhead.
Yeah.
Because his attitude towards it. Because obviously he's physically going to be there. You know, when she's, you know, crying, you know, on him and everything. Like, he's going to be there. They're still dating. But I understand some people don't know how to handle that situation. You know, if somebody came up to you as like, my entire family just died, you're just like...
Most people don't know how to handle that situation.
Most people wouldn't say anything like him. He won't really say anything.
No,
but
what can you say?
But everything after that, it's just like, well, shit, now I really can't break up with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the vibe he gives off. And I'm
like, and that's how it felt.
Right,
that was definitely how it felt.
Yeah. Like, oh, hey, like, this is still ending, but I need to be there for my girlfriend. It's, shit, now I can't break up with her right now.
Yep.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think,
and
like...
he knows that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. That's probably why she had killed him, because she's like, you know what, motherfucker? You wanted to break up with me? Now you're gonna die.
Yeah. I know, like codependency, what, you know, because she was very, like, it was unhealthy on all sides, but it's like in the situation, it is like with their actions, I wouldn't do anything differently if I was her. I wouldn't do anything differently if I was him. She just lost everybody in her life, and the only thing that she has left is her shitty boyfriend who, you know, but like, what are you going to do? Break up with him and be completely alone? And then with him, it's like, what are you going to do? Break up with her whole family just died. So like both of them are in a shitty, toxic situation of like codependency and like passive aggressiveness on his end, and you know, because he's mad that he can't break up with her or whatever. And then I think a lot of that too is like the conversations that he has with his friends before they go. You know, the way that they are about it is shitty, and it like just kind of adds to like the shit stain that's on him of like, you know, this is how you're like conversing about your girlfriend who just had all these like tragic things happen. This is how you're actually talking about her behind her back, you know, and it's just fucked up.
Yeah. That did not help him at all. I was like, come on, bro.
Yeah, so good riddance, whatever.
Yeah, sorry, boyfriend, had to go.
My God, they all had to go.
Can I just name one other small, actually two small, very pleasurable things for me? So number one is I actually fucking hate ASMR. Literally, when it comes up on my TikTok timeline, I'm like, I will block you, bro. Like, get the fuck out of
I hate
here.
it. Yeah.
But one thing that I did love in this movie was actually when they all start eating at the table, the ASMR of the fucking clinking, because it sounds really delicate and chimey. I loved it. That was the first ASMR I've ever liked in my life. And I was like, wow, I didn't know this could happen. Yeah, I appreciated
that's
that.
really funny because a lot of people do not like the clinking sound at all. Like they hate it.
Yeah, I loved it.
I've like been like out to eat with people that are like, can you like not put your teeth on your fork? Because I hate that sound. Yeah. Like when you're taking a bite.
Any unnecessary sound, I can't do it.
Jenna's like, just
shut
the fuck up.
And I just have to deal with it. I truly believe I'm not diagnosed, but I truly believe I have misophonia, which is that like hatred.
Yes.
For like visceral hatred for mouth sounds.
Yes, same.
And certain sounds, like I can't.
Oh my god, you guys are definitely related. That's so fucking funny.
I can't do it. And here's a fun tale. This is why I also used to yell at Sammy when she was a child, when she didn't know how to chew properly, because she was a kid. She was a kid, and we're 6 years apart. So when she was younger, I used to yell at her all the time about like chewing with her mouth open. But you're supposed to tell a fucking 4-year-old like to.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
But even back then, I was just like,
I hate this.
This is irritating the shit out of me. Like
oh no.
Bless Rocco. But sometimes he does that scraping when he eats, and I literally get up out of the table and I leave. I go in the next room. I have to.
I know.
I literally have to.
I feel the same way with mouth sounds. I don't mind like cutlery sounds, but mouth sounds, like if Maddie is eating, she knows not to call me because or there will be times where I'll call her and she's eating like a peach or something that's just so wet, and I'm like, okay, I will call you back. Like I can't stand it. And you know what's funny is that Jenna and her mom, when she chews gum, she chews with her mouth open, and I yell at her all of the time. All of the time.
That's
so
funny.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Twitch, like watching videos, like you said, like TikTok.
Yeah.
Like I scroll past.
So do I. It pisses me off because on Twitch, everybody thinks they can do AMSR.
Yeah, watching friends stream and they decide to eat while they're streaming. Immediately, I turn your I turn your stuff off. I had a friend who I used to watch them all the time because they would just play video games. And then when ASMR became really popular, all they do is ASMR content. And then they messaged me like however long later, and they're like, "You don't come by my stream anymore." I was like, "I can't listen to you."
Yeah.
Like I literally like physically and mentally cannot watch your
Dude,
stream
I'm sorry,
like
but
it has nothing to do with you. Like, you're a great person. I just can't handle your content anymore.
ASMR. Say it with your motherfucking chest. Be loud, baritone. I need to hear you clearly. Yeah, I fucking hate it. But I did appreciate the scene, and I think maybe the cutlery sounded really expensive. I think that's why I liked it, because it sounded like crystal.
Well, it was like, also like, what was really cool is that like it was an aerial like shot, and it was just the way that the table was shaped, and we were just talking about like how we loved that the way that it's set up, because like
it's a perfect V.
And then it's like, so you get like this long walk of like the old man and woman like coming and sitting down, then everybody else sits down, and then they start eating and everybody else starts, so it's just this nice like like domino.
Well, they do it in a
it's just very like organized, very clean. It's just just put together.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand. I understand.
It felt really pristine. Like I did like that. Like, and I think what was really, I think even better about it is like in life, nothing is ever perfect for a long time. Like, we have moments of like perfection, right? You're like, holy shit, like for a moment, like that was so great. And we hold on to those things. And that kind of reminded me of that feeling. I was like, oh my God, like that was just so beautiful for this one moment. It felt like it was suspended in time for a second. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Fucking take me with your little plate chimes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so it was really cool. It was very put together. And Jenna, you're right. It just felt very clean, which is really funny because this is something that I thought the first time that I watched it was like, seeing them like they're all in white and like blonde and blonde, this like idea of like this Anglo pureness and beauty and the, you know, whatever. And then they're actually like they participate in these like really sinister things, and like the juxtaposition of that was good. Like I loved that because I was like, yeah, not everything that's clean and white and perfect is actually right, like you know.
Yeah, not all that glitters is gold, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, what was your other scene, Maddie?
Oh, and this is how I know I would join the cult, is that the fucking breath. Every time they did the breath, I did the breath. I was like, okay. Like, here we are. Oh my God. And I think the reason I fucking find that so goddamn funny is because, you know, I'm like a little yogi. I'm not even that good at it, but I do promote yoga because I'm here for it. And there's a lot of breath work in yoga. And like, there's one that it kind of reminded me of. It's called like lion's breath, where you like stick your tongue out and you cross your eyes and you look up while you're like breathing out. And I was like, oh, like that's what it was. Oh my God. I knew. I was like, oh, look at this little yoga breath work cult. Hey.
Oh
like,
my God.
sign me up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my other fucking thing that I really enjoyed. Just like all the little things that they did in this movie were fucking, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, that's why I said I liked all the little Easter eggs and stuff too, because it was just stuff that like I said, it's rewatching movies is not for everybody. I definitely know people who are like, no, I want to get the picture, I want to get the story in one watch. Like I get it. People like that exist. Totally valid. I get it. But when it comes to certain movies like this, where there is meant to be symbolism everywhere, yeah, sometimes you don't see everything the first time. It's the same with that Netflix show, what was it, the Haunting on Hill House, where there's the ghosts that are hidden everywhere in the scenes and you don't even notice them. Like a lot of the time, we like Rocco and I went back and we rewatched scenes when that was first coming out, because supposedly there was literally a face staring at you the entire time, but you're so focused on the subject of the scene that you don't notice the face in the background. So when you go back and you rewatch it, you're like, that is so fucking unsettling.
Subliminal face.
Because you don't realize it because you're so focused on something else. Yeah, so like even magic. But even like just the because even like the nod to other horror films is also in this as well, because the blanket, so like how they're in like the little compound area where they're sleeping, the quilts that are on the beds, specifically Danny's bed, that is the same print that is from the carpet from The Shining.
Oh my God, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's like his like callback to like true like original horror.
Okay,
just stuff like that, cool. Where it's like just little nods and Easter eggs to little things, because of course that's something I didn't even notice in the beginning, because it's the same pattern, but obviously it's not the same color at all, because I think the Shining carpet is like, they were like burgundy or something, like dark gold, or it was really dark, 90s. Like jewel tone colors, whereas obviously this is very like white and blue and very, like, so you don't notice it at first, but it's there. That's
I like though. I like
I love
rewatching stuff and looking
I
at
love
things.
watching a movie for the second time and noticing things that I didn't notice the first time.
Yeah,
It's like one of my favorite things. Like,
I
and
agree.
that's it. Like,
Yeah, because some of the stuff is very obvious. Like
Yes.
obviously, like when Christian's sitting in the it's been a little bit since I watched it, but I think he's sitting in the room before he goes in for like the ritual or whatever, and the woman comes in and says, "Oh, you've been chosen," blah blah blah,
Yeah,
whatever.
based on
He's
like their
literally
astrology.
yeah, he's literally staring at wallpaper that shows a burning bear.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, that's gonna be you, motherfucker.
mhm.
Yeah,
Like,
another
so at the end of the movie when he's the burning bear, it's like, oh, that makes sense because that's something that's just like right in your face because they focus on it.
yeah,
But
another
other
thing
stuff where like
they did with
background.
other artwork is actually the bunker that they're all staying in is like all of the artwork is phallic. Like there's like dicks everywhere. And you have to like look closely. And I didn't notice it the first time, but the second time I was like, those are all dicks.
Mhm.
I
Oh,
mean
well,
there's
he
some
says
child
it.
Which is also um if we're talking about mythology, there's Pan, who is represented with a lot of phallic things.
Mhm.
And he is the one in the beginning in the first big picture where they're like where he's leading he's leading
Yeah,
the
leading
group
them
to,
through
like,
the
hey,
story. Mhm.
hey, follow me or whatever. One of his like symbols in mythology is a dick. So it's like it's funny how there's like dicks everywhere.
Oh my
Like
god.
all over the place.
I
So, but that's
love
another
it.
thing too, because I know we always talk, and I want to bring this up so I don't forget it, because I know we talk about a lot of especially you guys talk about a lot of shows that have like theories and stuff.
Mhm.
There is one theory is that Pell is the Oracle, not the inbred person that was claimed as the Oracle, but Pell is.
Oh, Pell is the
Because
Oracle.
yeah, because he kind of put everything into motion
Well, he
as far
orchestrated
as like
everything.
Mhm.
he literally orchestrated everything. He
Yeah.
also was the one who's just invite her like because he knew that Danny was supposed to be the May Queen.
Yes.
So he like put everything into motion. And the other thing with Pan as well too, and anything with like the Oracle is that they do things in drawings, and he draws.
Oh my god.
Right.
Yeah, so he
Good
draws the
point.
picture of her, and then I think he draws like two different pictures of her. But the other thing too, and I can't remember verbatim what it is because it was words that were used to describe the Oracle, um, the kid. But at the end of the movie, when Pell has his crown on, that same person goes up to him and describes him as the Oracle. He doesn't call him the Oracle, but he says something. This is gonna bother me now.
I think that's a great fucking theory. Actually, I'm really glad that you brought that up because I really want to know. Like, one thing that I love about this, it was a great movie, but I really like want to know what happens next. I'm like, does she stay? Is she gonna come out of this fucking LSD trip and be like, holy fuck, I fucked up, all my friends are dead, or is she gonna go home? Like, I am very curious about like what happens afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to guess, I think she's staying.
I think she is too, but like, I don't know. Like, I want to know where she is in like the next 30 years. Like, is she gonna feel bad? I just want to know. I'm curious.
Unclouded intuition.
Unclouded intuition, yes.
So the oracle that we know in the movie, that's what was used to describe them because of their unclouded intuition. That's why they're an oracle. But at the end of the movie, when Pell has that crown on his head, guy goes up to him and says that to him, like, kind of like a congratulatory, you're here because of your unclouded intuition. And I'm like, that doesn't work.
Yeah, and in the beginning they do allude to it as well, saying that Pell has a like an intuition for people. Yeah, or like I can't remember the exact word verbatim, but yeah, something along those lines. Like he has a very good, like he can tell, he gets the vibes, you know, which obviously he did. Like he knew that these people were going to be susceptible, and he knew that Danny's situation made her a perfect fucking candidate. Which makes me think that he's done this before.
Oh yeah, well yeah, because the whole thing is alluding to. Like, yeah, he's done it before. Like, he's the scouter. He goes out and
now does that mean he gets to fuck her? I'm just curious.
He brings in the sacrifices and, you know, finds all the new people because, you know, obviously with or really, I would assume any cult, you don't want to completely go into inbreeding. You need new people.
You need to diversify.
Like,
yeah,
eventually somewhere down the line. So for basically his job to go out and essentially scout people, you know.
Yeah, like is she gonna do that now?
That from the get-go, when things started like hitting the fan and like deaths were happening and stuff, we're like, okay, now we know like Pell's the reason why like all these people are here. We get it. Like he's the one who's. It's his fault. Like, we're here because of him. But then at the end, where this theory is that he's actually the Oracle. Like, he's picking and choosing. The reason why he has that intuition for picking the right people is because he already knew it was going to happen.
Well, yeah.
It was already set in stone.
Yeah, exactly. And like he knew even just like that all of everybody besides Danny was gonna fuck up while they were there for their own reasons. They all fucked up in their own ways. So yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. So
that one girl, I can't remember her name. She just wanted to leave. She packed her bags and she just wanted to leave.
Another qualm. My other qualm, that's my last qualm, is where, so we know that her boyfriend got fucking filleted, which is called a bald eagle. I looked that up. If you want to, Wikipedia it, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. It's I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know what it is.
Not a bald eagle. Not a bald eagle. It's a
spread eagle.
No, not spread eagle either. Oh my God, Maddie. No, that's like a sex position. It's like bloody eagle.
It's a blood. It's
blood eagle.
It's a Viking.
Sorry.
Thing.
It is. So, anyways, they do that to the fucking boyfriend of the friends that Ingmar brings from London. But we don't ever find out what happens to the girl. I'm like, where? I mean, I assume she's dead somewhere, but like, where? I need to know. Also, where the fuck is the one that peed on the sacred tree? I mean, assumed again, dead, but where? I need to know. So that did piss me off a little bit. I was like, what if one of them escaped? Maybe there'll be another movie, another Midsommar. Woo, Midsommar 2. And that's the thing. I want, like, this is going to sound so bad, but in my scary movies, I really don't appreciate when someone survives because I'm like, ugh, this is going to turn into a franchise. Like, I don't want 10 more of these.
But this, you want it. You want to know.
Yeah, I just want them all to die. But that does make it kind of scary, too, because then I'm like, the killer's still on the loose, which makes it a good, scary movie. You know, so to me, there's a chance that one of these motherfuckers survived. And the
only thing is that I don't think any of them survived because obviously except for Danny, but she's so indoctrinated now that they're not worried about her escaping. And anybody. So all the rest of them, they're dead.
Yeah,
fuck them.
Like 100%, they're dead. They won't run any risk of. Any kind of law enforcement, exposing, what's going on there.
Oh, yeah. So, well, I don't know. I still loved it. It would, to me.
Maybe they were already all stacked up in the yellow hut. Maybe they're just all in there,
all stuffed like little straw men. God, I hate to end it on that, but like. What can you do?
Oh.
Going to Midsommar, not coming out of it. That's all we know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also don't want a second movie. I just want really good fan fiction.
No.
That's
Okay.
it.
All right. Yeah, no, and next I would like to make I have a lot of green leaves left over from all of this, and I'm like, I should do Hell's Crown next.
Yeah.
Because this was kind of gorgeous
Yeah,
too.
it's the green one.
Yeah, I liked it. And I don't know what the fuck we're gonna do with these afterwards. I'm like, you're right. I think we are gonna end up having like movie suite fucking apartments.
Mine's a
Oh
wreath.
god.
Thrown on my door.
Oh Lord, that's actually fucking great. Well, hopefully I get invited to a flower festival soon. So I can wear this baby and be like, guys, I was prepped. I was born for this.
Like I need an excuse to wear this again.
I do.
Bad that I spent money on this.
I don't feel bad that I spent money on this, even if I can never wear it again. Honestly, it was so much fun to make. It was just a good experience through and through. So speaking of good experiences, we hope that this podcast was a good experience for you listeners. Thank you, Jenna, for hopping on and joining us to talk about Midsommar. It is so compelling. We needed the extra support just to fucking get it all out.
Yeah, and it was alright. I needed to have Jenna on here. I watched it for the first time with her. We've talked so much about it. It made sense. You know, of course we were going to do better.
Yeah, and all of you guys
I
are
also want to get a Midsommar tattoo at some point. I love this movie. It's literally one of my favorite movies. So
hell yeah! Oh my god! Well, we'll fucking update
I need to have
guys.
something drawn up because everybody gets the same things, and
I haven't even looked up any Midsommar tattoos. Now I'm interested. I'm like, what is the one that they get?
The yellow, the house, the triangle, and
maybe
they do it on fire.
Oh,
So,
I would get the fucking
I think,
entrance, the sun entrance. I like that thing.
Yeah, that was really nice.
I wanted to get. I wouldn't want to get it in color because I'm just not a fan of color tattoos. But I would do just black and gray. I would have. My plan was to get that on fire, have the flames, and then on the bottom like flowers.
Girl, what about the bear and the little girl?
But,
I feel like that's kind of fitting for you.
But then a lot of people, and then a lot of people were getting it, and I was just like, well, you know.
We can't all be fucking cool and obscure, Jenna.
No, but if you look up Midsommar tattoo, that it's literally the probably other than him dressed up as the bear. On fire, those are probably the top two.
Yeah, honestly, if you do get it, please text the fucking group chat immediately because I would like to see what you come up with eventually. Because this movie is worthy of a fucking tattoo. It truly is. And now I'm like, maybe I should get one because I loved it. I'm like, maybe I should just get a bundle.
Not for everybody. But it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Great time. Spoiler warning.
Oh.
We're about to end.
Fuck your spoilers. Listen, I'm done warning these people.
Really, you just by the time like all of this starts like coming out and stuff, or if anybody is like listened to the pod at all, like everybody should know every single episode is some kind of spoiler.
Yes.
By now.
And this came
new
out
people. I'm sorry. Read the description. I don't know.
Yeah. Or be surprised with a spoiler. Yeah.
Okay. All right. This ending has taken 7 minutes, so
we needed to know about the tattoos. Listen, everybody, you little May queens, thank you for listening. Come back next week. We're going to be talking about, is it Ex Machina or X? I can't remember. What order are we in?
It's X something. I'm not sure, but
we're either doing one of those. So check our Instagram schedule. Also, Jenna, where can the people find you?
So I'm Jenna Elise on Twitter and Instagram. That's the letter O, Jenna Elise, and then I do stream on Twitch too. That's just Jenna Elise.
Yeah.
Those are the things.
Hell yeah. Give her a follow, fucking check her out. Come check us out. And live your best fucking May Queen life, but don't kill any of your fucking boyfriends. All right? Love ya.
Bye.
Bye.